The changes brought about post-Grenfell, driven through numerous different pieces of legislation, at their heart, the intention is to change the industry and recognise competence across the industry. And this is probably a 20 or 30 year project to change the industry to one where everybody's competent. And the APS Principal Designer accreditation is really at the forefront of that idea, where we are measuring competence against the relevant standards, and people need to develop a portfolio to demonstrate, as it says, skills, knowledge, experience, and then appropriate behaviours. The APS has started with the role of principal designer under building regulations because it's clear that we had the ability, we had the team available with my knowledge of the changes that were coming. We've got a number of building regulations experts. We've got Professor Samuel Winkle, who's an expert in competence, and led by Andrew Leslie, who's put a number of schemes together. So we had a team with a real understanding of what's needed, where the industry is going. And I think that's only the start of where we're going. We do have a new requirement. We have a new competency requirement in the building regulations. We have a new competency requirement relating to the management of occupied buildings. And we're trying to get in there right at the beginning and say, the industry needs to work together as a whole and agree what good looks like. So both clients and the people providing those services know what good is and can deliver competence, and can also evidence competence, and those who are engaging people can be certain that that's what's happening. That's where the whole industry is going. We recognise that a lot of buildings are managed by lay directors. It's a very similar parallel to a lot of construction clients are not technically competent. They're commissioning a piece of work, but their knowledge of the construction industry is provided by their experts. People in the industry need a badge to say, this is the evidence that I am at this moment in time managing competence in accordance with my statutory duties. And so they can provide that badge to their clients, and their clients can, by return, say, if you'd like to work for us, I'd like you to have this badge. I personally lead on organisational capability, and we've been asked by the Building Safety Regulator to present our work developed from a British standard with British standards permission, and it's being fed back into a British standard, so there'll be a British standard for organisational capability. And the intention is that APS follows on and looks at how organisations who want to deliver the role of PD under CDM or building regulations, or in fact anything else that they want to do in the building environment, how they can prove that they are managing the competence of their employees and making sure they have enough competent people. A lot of the processes in higher risk building, the change control process, the construction control plan, which sets out how you manage competence, how you manage design, manage construction to achieve compliance, how you maintain a record of the assurance process. It's hard to argue that fundamental process isn't required on all projects, given particularly you've now got these increased penalties for failure. And I can't see at the minute that there is any limit on those, the time which you can be penalised for failure. So the more I understand it, the more I think it's really good. Is the industry ready for it? Absolutely not for the competence piece at least, but some of the processes, no, I don't think so. You talk to practices, developers, to architects, and they say, yes, we do it, but no, we don't keep that level of record. We don't have that level of assurance. And I think that's the big change. When there's a fire in a building 10 years down the road, and they open it up and they discover that fire stopping wasn't installed properly, can you, as a designer, contractor, principal designer, principal contractor, client, how can you defend yourself? And that's the problem we face, I think, and why I think the industry needs to start to really think about this. This is this is turning the whole thing on its head, but it's good, isn't it? It has to be good because it all comes from a disaster, and we need to do something to make buildings safe to live in and safe to occupy. That's what it's all about, isn't it? The buildings regs, regulations are there, is there, and I suppose the CDM regulations, health and safety legislation, is to make properties safe for people to live in, to work in. That's the purpose of it all, and if we must have an industry that is, their fundamental principle is that that's the sort of building we deliver, and not only we deliver it, we can evidence that we've delivered it. It has to be right.